Koniving, coming to you from my living room. I was unable to record live during these for reasons I won't get into, but basically, when people work overtime, you let them sleep. Even if they fall asleep on top of you, or next to you, or whatever the case may be. It was adorable. Anyway. One nice thing is I can cut and skip and do all kinds of stuff like that while doing this, although it requires a lot of re-recording of the voice. But this wait time here, between loading and waiting, it was almost 3 minutes just there. And it doesn't need to be. It is ridiculous. I realize that this is on the Oceanic servers. That took forever. And it seems like nobody else gets to start until we load in. This is somewhat unfair to the people who are actually there trying to play, and you know, you're a foreign invader just basically loading in on their servers. That sucks. Unfortunately, it kept favoring those servers. I had like all the servers listed, and that's where I kept getting put. Technically, this means that I'm supposed to be at a really big disadvantage, lag and otherwise. But I did fairly well considering. This video, like all the other 4-H videos that are forthcoming and have already played, is made for somebody who is having a bit of trouble with their 4-H and their cataphract, and I'll get into the cataphract later. Cataphract definitely can't be the guy's fault, because, let's face it, the cataphract needs a hitbox update, but like I said, we'll get into that later. For now, we are in the Hunchback 4-H, and this is River City on Conquest. Now, this means that the front line is not exactly set. You know, it could actually happen anywhere. Because you have... basically, the whole group could actually converge on certain points. That makes sense. But, I made it a very deliberate point to not get into the front line and to not get into the big crowds. And the reason why is I am in a Hunchback. I am in the king of urban environments, as I titled it before. Basically, as long as I am surrounded by buildings, you are fucked. So, I am making a point of this by roaming around. Are you okay, little one? Okay. Yeah, she's safe. I'm safe. Everybody's safe. Hey, let go of that. Let go of that. Thank you. And I know I said I'd be skipping, but in this particular case, I'm doing this video for educational purposes. And so I am not skipping how I sneak up on the enemy. Can't do that to me. What I'm doing at this point is I was attacked on my way over, and the enemy was shown to be somewhat close, or at least I was given that impression. So I stopped there and I waited until I realized that I was probably just given some passing shots. Basically like the enemies on Metal Gear when time's up. You know, what was that? Looks around the corner. Whose footsteps are these? Follows them. Huh. Guess it was no one. Like, seriously, dude. But apparently we do that in real life. I decided on my target here. We have a solo player trying to fight off what looks like an Arctic cheetah, and it is a very bad situation to be in. So, I decided to go over there and help, but first, we are at a conquest point, and I decided to obviously take it. From this point, I make my way over, and I would time skip this, but and holy shit, suddenly night gear, and he's dead. So, as I was trying to say earlier, the reason I am not time skipping is because something very important happens while I'm trying to sneak up on this enemy. This is a situation that players will frequently encounter, whether you're new or have played this thing for 5 freaking years. I have one target, one indication that one enemy exists. And I start coming over here. I see him, and holy shit, suddenly night gear. So, less than 100 meters, suddenly night gear. I am now fighting for my life. And he's dead. Now that did some serious damage because I actually have the armor of a heavy mech, practically. But, there we go. Basically fried most of my front and left armor. My right armor is actually comparable to a center torso of an Atlas, which is complete bullshit, but hey, whatever, you know? Quirks. And skills. So, the night gear is obviously destroyed, and I've moved on, but my enemies have actually multiplied. The Arctic cheetah that I was fighting, the enemy wolfhound that I was fighting ends up suiciding, and the Arctic cheetah here, I wanted to kill him so bad that I fucked up. Target spotted. As you can see, the default Hunchback build that I had was extremely hot. And I kept pushing it. Do not override if you don't have to. I got a standard engine. There was no reason to override. Especially with my help keeping him at bay. But I did it again. And I paid for it. If I paced my shots, if I want to chain fire or some of the other skills that I usually have, I could have made this. But a tier 5 player is not going to truly have to worry about things like that. Instead, just stay calm. Focus on your target. If the enemy keeps circling you exclusively, which was not the case here, throw it into a partial reverse. This means throttle decay needs to be off. And then just keep turning with him. And if he gets too far ahead of you, turn against him. Like if he's circling around going to your left and he gets too far, turn right. Intercept him and then follow him again. And honestly, if I aimed for legs, these guys would have died a lot faster. Oh, no, Nigeria, just go center torso. Drill that motherfucker dead. It doesn't really take much, and you can see my C-Build's earnings here. I didn't do much damage, I didn't kill a whole bunch of people. I barely even participated in the game. I just snuck around, took one base, engaged a couple of enemies, and I helped out an ally. That's all you really have to do. The game does not expect a lot out of you. Just, if you can, avoid dying. If you're running around solo, don't. If you're always with the team and the team gets slaughtered, there's something wrong with what the team's doing. Or possibly one or more individuals within the team might not have been looking at their flanks, or whatever the case may be. Maybe the assault didn't push when he should have. It doesn't mean that you yourself are a bad player. There are going to be times when you're on a team that's just doomed to lose. This is unfortunate, but a fact, because fortunately yet unfortunately, whether or not you win or lose depends entirely on the makeup of the team and what the team does with what they have. More importantly, what the team does with what they have. Because you can actually have some really, really crappy stuff, but do something really good with it, and still come out on top. This is Koniving. Peace out.